a tutorial on a few different ways in which you can manipulate your images in the style of Maykel Lima. These are a few of the images here that we are going to have a look at. This image here, the middle one, this would be fantastic to do on the Art Leap app. So it's Art Leap and you can download it from the App Store, and it's really fantastic. You are able to change the orientation of the blur, kind of how far over, how much of the face or the image you want to have blurred. It's very, very helpful. If you're using that, make sure that you kind of screenshot as you go. The two techniques I will show you here is how to create something like this top image and something like this bottom one here, relatively easy. So first thing you're going to need to do is you are going to choose your first image. Now, similar to when I had showed you in class, you will have your original image and we want to make sure that we save that as a Photoshop file. So again, it's going to be File, Save As. Your dialog box will appear. You can title your image, you can leave it as the same, but the area that you will need to change is where it says Format. So originally yours will be a JPEG, but we want to change that to a Photoshop file. It's very important that you don't pick Photoshop PDF or RAW or even the 0.1, 0.2. We want to just tick Photoshop on its own, or it might say Photoshop PSD. That's the one that we want to select. Obviously then you can save that and that will be you. So first thing we want to do is make sure that we have duplicated this layer so that if we make any kind of unwanted changes, we can always go back to our original. So you're going to select your layer. We are going to click and drag it down to the bottom box that you'll see here with a little plus sign in it, and it will duplicate these layers for us. So what I am going to do is I'm going to double click this layer. It'll be highlighted in blue and I can change the name from that one. So I'm going to name this Edit, so I know that this is the image that I'm going to edit, and then this one can be my background. Again, it's not always necessary that you name it as long as you know the layer that you are working on. So whatever is highlighted either in light grey or blue is the image that you're working on. Anything with the eye is what you see that is visible. So at the minute, only my edit is visible. So if I take the eye away, then it disappears completely. So this is the one that we want to work on. Now, depending on how you would like to liquify your image, you can do a few different things. Obviously, you can use the Art Leap app for this one here. So to create an image like this top one that's a little bit more organic and has a little bit of shape to it, then we are going to use the Liquify tool. So within this one, we are going to go to, we are going to go to Filter, sorry. So we're going to go to Filter and then down to where it says Liquify, and if I click on that, a dialog box should appear where I can see my image. I have a whole bunch of tools on this side here that I can use, and then properties on the right hand side. The circle that you can see kind of floated in the middle is showing you the size of my brush. On the right hand side, I can change the size, I can change the pressure, and you'll be able to see obviously how that differs. You can change how dense it is. These are things that you can experiment with. Great thing is that if you have the preview box ticked, you can see it before it makes changes to your actual document. So if it's something that you're not happy with, then you can cancel that as well. So you can just hit the little cancel button and start again. Again, you find this in the little filter tab. So filter Liquify and you will find it. So I have my brush here. What I want to do is I want to pull my hair over and down. So that's all I'm going to do. So from the side and down, you can see it starts to liquefy now. Obviously, depending on the size of your brush, you can get different effects. All I did to get rid of that there was Command and Z, or you can go to Edit Undo. And again, I want to make my brush perhaps not quite as big. I want to make it a little bit bigger. So if I'm pulling across, it makes more of a distortion. Obviously, the bigger your brush, the more distorted your image is going to be. Command Z to undo that. I might want to pull it this way again, depending on how much or how little you want to distort your image. Once you're happy with it, you can click OK, and it has changed my image as you see here. Now, what we don't want to see is the checkered background. So this is just showing our empty layer behind. There's nothing visible behind our edit that we're working on. So what we can do is create a new blank layer, and we are able to fill it with any colour we wish. I'll show you how to do that. So if you go to your layers box and you click on the little box with the plus sign, it gives you a whole blank new layer. You can see we can't even see anything in there at the minute. What I would like to do is I want my layer below to be the same colour as the wall that my model is sitting on here. So what I am going to do, along this left hand side, you'll see your little toolbar, I want to select the dropper tool. So I want to select a little eyedropper tool, and what that allows me to do, you'll be able to see in this box here, so this is shown as our colours, you'll be able to see when I click on here, my colour will change. So it's not quite white, it's slightly off white. I want to click on that. Once I'm happy with the colour that I have selected, I'm going to go to my paint bucket. Now you may not see it here, which means you'll have to go to your gradient tool. If you hold your gradient tool in, another little box will appear and you can just click on the paint bucket. What you will then do is you're going to click and fill that layer. So as you can see, mine is not visible. So when I try to fill it up, a little kind of stop or no sign comes on. We can't do that, so I need to make it visible, and then it changes to a little paint bucket. If I click fill, it is going to cover the entire image. You can imagine it's as if a solid layer of paper is over this image. Again, you can see it's disappeared, so you'll be able to see here, this is my layer that I have filled in, and then I have my edit. What I want to do is reposition these layers so that my photograph is on top of my filled layer. All you need to do is click and drag that up, and that will appear. So you can see that it's filled in this box here. If I want to change it to any colour, so say for example, I then want to include a little red layer underneath, again, eyedropper tool, to your paint bucket, make sure that your layer is selected. I'm going to call this fill, just to make things a bit easier. So my fill layer is selected. If I click on that, it'll fill it red. So again, you can experiment with perhaps the colours that you want to choose in there. It can give you some different effects. So again, it's just going to filter, liquify, and then if I want to change my image, you can see that the layer I've clicked on is my fill layer. So that's what comes up. If I want to liquify my photograph, then I need to make sure that that's selected, and you can see that my photograph is here. So if I drag this part here, if I click OK, what you should then see when it comes back to full screen is a red area here and a red area here should appear. And there you go, you can see that. So again, these are changes that you can make to your image. Make sure that you are saving as you go. So again, it can just be File, Save, or it can be Command S and keep saving as you go.